Hey guys, welcome back to my Animal Adventures YouTube channel, and in this video I want to tell you how you can buy my ball python hatchlings. And basically I've decided that I only want to sell my hatchlings at the local shows here in Colorado. So the upcoming show that's coming up is the Reptilian Nation, February 23rd to 24th in 2019. So unfortunately I'm not shipping through the internet, and if you think about it, I had about 100 hatchlings, and if you figure about $50 per box to ship out a snake, we're talking about $5,000 in shipping costs just to ship out the hatchlings, and I'm not really comfortable shipping hatchlings through the mail. I would rather sell them locally if I could. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my hatchling rack and show you what I have that will be available at the next Reptilian Nation. I'll show you each one in detail, and then we'll take a weight. And if you really want to buy one of those hatchlings, I would recommend doing the VIP. You can get in early, about an hour earlier than everybody else, and you'll get a first crack at getting one of these snakes. Okay, so I just did a quick count. It looks like I have 34 hatchlings in this rack that I'll be bringing to this next reptile show. And there's a few hatchlings in the bottom I'm not really comfortable bringing to the show. They actually were assist feeding for a while, and they're just coming on feeding on their own, and they're a little too skinny, I think, to bring to the show. So I'm going to set this camera up on this tripod. We'll take a look at each one in detail and take a weight. Okay, so here is a male pastel. It's 50% het pied, so 50% chance that this could carry one copy of the pied gene. And it actually came from my Coral Glow male that was 100% het pied, so that's where the 50% pied comes from. And he's a really good looking snake, really bright yellow, and he's feeding very well. These pastels seem like they're one of the easiest to feed next to the bamboo. And let's take a weight on this guy, and it looks like he's coming in at 245 grams. So here's another pastel, 50% het pied, and this one happens to be a female, and it looks like the color is quite a bit different on this one. It almost looks like it has a dividing line where it has a lighter color on the bottom and a brighter color on the top. It's really kind of unique and interesting. She's a really good looking snake, and this one feels a little bit bigger than the last one. Let's take a weight on her. She's coming in at 296 grams. Alright, so here is a female lemon blast, and the lemon blast is the pastel and the pinstripe gene. Both are dominant genes, and she is looking really good. She's got some pretty good weight on her, and she is coming in at 243 grams. So here's just a straight pinstripe. She's just one gene is the pinstripe, and it's a female. She's looking really good, putting on some good weight. And she's pretty bright for just a straight pinstripe, looking really good. Let's take a look at what she weighs. She's in a nice little ball here. She's coming in at 193 grams. Alright, take a look at this beauty. This is a pastel pinstripe calico male. A 3-gene powerhouse, and you can see the calico kind of breaks it up into a little kind of a pixelated pattern along the side, and just kind of gives it an overall kind of a broken up pixelation to the pattern. It's pretty interesting combination. I haven't seen a whole lot of them. And let's take a look at what he's coming in at. It looks like 220 grams. Okay, so this is a male Coral Glow, and it's possible pastel, and I haven't quite figured out how to tell the pastel from the non-pastel. So instead of just guessing, I'm just selling it as a possible pastel. And he is also 50% het pied, and I can kind of guess on the het pied. Sometimes the patterns are broken up a little bit more on the het pied, but instead of guessing, I'm just going to say it's 50% het pied and possible pastel in a Coral Glow. And you can see as he ages, he's getting more and more of these little freckles, and it seems like the older they get, the more freckles they have. It's kind of interesting. And let's see how much he weighs. He's coming in at 256 grams. So this male coral glow has exactly the same genetics as the last one. It's possible pastel and 50% het pied. And it's interesting that this one has a little bit fewer freckles. And you can kind of tell that I think the pattern's a little more broken up on the ones that I think are het pied and more of a regular pattern that are not het pied, but you really can't tell for sure. There's a 50% chance that some of these are het pied and some are not het pied. And you really can't tell until you breed them and you prove them out. So let's take a weight on this boy. And he's coming in at 267 grams. Alright, so this is a male calico, and he's pretty much in shed. You can't really see his colors that good because he's kind of faded out. You can see his eyes are a little bit gray, and he's a little grumpy. But you can see the calico really breaks up the pattern and makes it pixelated on the sides. And I've seen some calicos that give you some really high white. I think this is just a different line of calico. You get more or less expression from different lines. And we'll see how much he weighs. He's coming in at 215 grams. So here's another coral glow male, 50% het pied, and we know for sure from the pairing on this one that is definitely not a pastel. And I'm almost thinking the other two are pastel because now that they've matured a little bit, their color is a little bit lighter. And you can definitely tell on this guy that it's not quite as light as the other ones. So I'm thinking those other two are probably pastel, and this one's not. So let's take a weight on this guy. He seems a little bit lighter. He's coming in at 170 grams. So here's another male coral glow, 50% het pied. Definitely not a pastel, we know from the pairing. And this one almost has a little more of a repeating pattern on the top. So my guess, I'm just guessing, it's probably not het pied. If you're looking for a het pied for sure, I would look for some broken up pattern. That's usually an indicator that it's het pied. And you really can't tell. There's typically no tracks on the belly for these as you would see like in a normal. So let's take a weight on this boy, and he is coming in at 230 grams. Okay, so here is another coral glow male, 50% het pied. And the other thing about all my coral glows, they're all male makers because they came from a male. The pairing was a male coral glow with some other female. and so from that pairing, since all the fathers were males, then these would be male makers. So this means if you breed this to another snake, all the coral glow babies would be males. That's why they call it a male maker. And if we get a weight on this boy, he is coming in at 206 grams. Alright, take a look at this beauty. This is a pastel bamboo male. And we can definitely tell the pastel in the bamboo because the head's quite a bit lighter than the non-pastel bamboos. I'd say it's pretty tricky at first to figure out, but once you get the hang of it, it's really easy, especially if you compare the snakes side by side with a non-pastel bamboo. So this is definitely has the pastel gene in it. And let's take a look at this, at the weight on this boy. It's coming in at 195 grams. Okay, if you're looking for a bamboo female for your breeding project, this is the one to have. This is a bamboo female with no other genes in it, and it would be a really powerful breeder. Keep in mind it's going to take probably another 2 years before it's up to size to breed, and maybe even not that long because bamboos are typically really aggressive feeders, and you don't have to worry about them going off feed that much as far as what I've seen. So let's take a weight on this girl. She is coming in at 153 grams. Here's another female bamboo. This one looks to be a little bit bigger. And the other interesting thing about just a straight bamboo is the pattern seems to really vary from snake to snake. And sometimes you'll see more of a striped pattern, and sometimes it'll be more broken up, and sometimes it'll be more down the sides, and sometimes it won't be down the sides at all. It's really interesting, the variability in the pattern in the bamboos. So let's take a weight on this girl. She's coming in at 191 grams. Okay, so here's another female. It's just a straight bamboo, and this one's kind of interesting because it seems like a little more pixelation in the sides, and I'm not really sure what causes some of them to have more of a kind of a grainy pattern on the side, but this one's definitely a little bit different than the other ones. So let's take a weight on this girl. She's coming in at 198 grams. Okay, so this is what they call a lesser, and the lesser is actually allelic to the bamboo. So if you cross a lesser with the bamboo, you get a pure white snake in some of the babies. And actually, if you mix lesser with a lesser, you get some pure white super lessers, which is pretty amazing. And it just has, it's almost the same pattern as a normal, but it's just really a brighter yellow. It's really intense. And I say the pattern's just a little bit reduced, but it's really a good example of what a lesser is. So let's take a weight on that girl. She's coming in at 191 grams. Okay, so this is another straight bamboo female. And if you notice, she's a little bit smaller. This one I actually had to assist feed the first few meals. She had a pretty slow start, but now she is readily eating frozen thawed mice, and the size she's eating is a weanling size. So it's a little bit bigger than the hoppers that they start with. And she's been eating really well, so I feel confident that I can put her up for sale. And she's coming in at a weight of 129 grams. Okay, so this is the snake that all the kids wanted to hold at all the shows. This is the bamboo lesser, and I think the thing that kind of held people from buying it was the price, because it's a fairly expensive combination, but it's a really powerful breeder. So if you breed this to anything, half the babies will come out bamboo and half will come out lesser. You'll get no normals. And since this is a female, it's still going to take a few years for this to get up to size to breed. At least 2 years, I'd say. So let's take a weight on her, and she's coming in at 175 grams. Okay, so this is a female lemon blast, which is the pastel gene and the pinstripe gene. And I'm thinking this pastel is a lot more intense than some because it's really brighter along the belly, which means you'd probably get a lot more intense of a pastel if you breed it out. And I had quite a few of these for sale. I think I had about 10 lemon blasts, and I'm down to just a couple now. They're really popular. You can get a 2-gene animal at a reasonable cost. They're not that expensive. So let's get a weight on her, and she is coming in at 161 grams. Here's another female lemon blast, and it looks like she's got some pretty good pastel. You can kind of tell right along the belly about I guess the intensity of the pastel in the mix. Some of them aren't quite as bright as the others, but she's a really good looking snake. It's a female, and let's see what she's coming in at as far as weight. She's coming in at 160 grams. Okay, so here is a pastel bamboo male, and this seems like a really high intensity. Some of these bamboos have more of an intense contrast than some of the others. I say this is pretty intense. And a male, it could be really powerful because it only takes, they only have to get up to about 400 to 500 grams before they can breed. So this would be a really powerful breeder. And let's see what he's coming in at. He's weighing in at 133 grams. So this is a big male pinstripe. He's really got some really good weight to him. I'm kind of surprised he's a lot bigger than the other ones, and it really depends on when they hatched out. So I could probably look back at my records, but I'm pretty sure that the smaller snakes are the ones that hatched out the latest, and the bigger snakes are the ones that hatched out earlier in the year. So a lot of these bigger snakes, they're probably, I'd say, 2 to 3 months older than some of my other ones. So let's take a weight on this boy. He's coming in at 201 grams. Okay, so here's another female bamboo. There's no pastel. You can tell by the darker head that there's no pastel on this one. And it's really one of the more intense colors. You can really see in some of these that there's like a white line that surrounds the black ridge that really makes the patterns pop on some of these. Some of them have it, and some of them aren't quite as intense. And this one is really just popping. It's crazy. Let's see how much she weighs. She's coming in at 181 grams. So this is a female scaleless head, and it's also 50% het caramel albino, and this is kind of my one of my projects that I'm working on, trying to hit the scaleless caramel albino, and I'm letting some of these females go because I'm just holding back a male, just kind of tinkering the project because I have so many other projects going on. So let's see how much this female is coming in at. She is weighing 194 grams. Okay, so here is another male pastel bamboo, another powerhouse breeder. And these bamboos are going pretty fast, and I still have quite a few left. Hopefully I'll have some at the multiple spring shows and maybe crank out a few more before the fall shows. So let's see what he's coming in at. He is weighing 159 grams. Here's a nice female pastel bamboo. Would make a really nice breeder in about a couple years when she gets up to weight. And let's see what she's coming in at. Looks like 213 grams. Here's another female scaleless head, 50% het caramel albino. And these actually were one of the last clutches to hatch out, so it's a little bit smaller than most of my other ones. And she's only coming in at 126 grams. Here's another female scaleless head, 50% het caramel albino, and I'm pretty sure I had two clutches on these. This must have been from the earlier clutch, the other one on the later clutch, because she is a little bit bigger than the last one. That's coming in at 169 grams. Here's another female scaleless head, 50% het caramel albino. This one's a little bit bigger. Let's see what she's coming in at. Looks like 175 grams. Here's a female pastel. She is in shed, so you really can't see her true colors. And I'm pretty sure this one is the one that I had to cyst feed at first, but she snapped out of it. She's been eating really well for quite a while. She's coming in at 161 grams. Okay, so here is another female bamboo. This one is really striking. Has a lot more lighter color than the other ones, I'd say. It's definitely quite a bit different. This one is really interesting, but it's just a straight bamboo according to the breeding. So let's take a weight on her. Looks like 169 grams. Here's another female bamboo, and it's interesting that they're all a little bit different. This one has some interesting patterns along the sides, and it kind of comes up a little bit more. And sometimes it's hard to tell what's in them unless you really knew the pairing. It'd be kind of tough, but you can definitely tell from the breeding and the pairing that this is just a straight female bamboo. And let's get a weight on her. She's coming in at 174 grams. Here is yet another female bamboo. I have quite a few bamboo hatchlings left if you're interested in picking one up at the show. Let's take a look at what she's coming in at. And it looks like 182 grams. Okay, so it looks like this is my last one, another female bamboo, and it's interesting on this one. It has this little, like a little notch right here, and it's more of a solid line. To me, it almost looks like it has calico in it, but from the pairing we know there's no calico, which is interesting. So we'll take a weight on her, and it looks like 177 grams. Alright, so there you have it. Those are my ball python hatchlings that I'll have at the Reptilian Nation in the spring of 2019. And as far as pricing, I definitely will adjust the prices based on the market demand for certain morphs. And I usually research it about a week before the show, set all my prices, and you never really know what it's going to be. It's based on supply and demand, and sometimes it can really change wildly. Sometimes it can sink. Sometimes the prices can go really high in the spring, so you never really know. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.